Hello everyone, it's Rich Michael Jones, doing some Bible reading. Probably gonna kick back like this or something, I don't know. March 13th, Numbers 19:1 through 20, verse 29. Let's see if we can get through this without a bunch of people dying today, huh? The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, here's another legal requirement commanded by the Lord. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a red heifer, a perfect animal that has no defects and has never been yoked to a plow. Give it to Eleazar the priest, and it will be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in the presence of Eleazar. Eleazar will take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times towards the front of the tabernacle. As Eleazar watches, the heifer must be burned, its hide, meat, blood, and dung. Eleazar the priest must then take a stick of cedar, a hyssop branch, and some scarlet yarn, and throw them into the fire where the heifer is burning. Then the priest must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. Afterward, he may return to the camp, though he will remain ceremonially unclean until evening. The man who burns the animal must also wash his clothes and bathe him or her, and he too himself in water, and he too will remain unclean until evening. Then someone who is ceremonially clean will gather up the ashes of the heifer, deposit them in a purified place outside the camp. They will be kept there for the community of Israel to use in the water for the purification ceremony. This ceremony is performed for the removal of sin. The man who gathers up the ashes of the heifer must also wash his clothes, and he will remain ceremonially unclean that evening. This is a permanent law for the people of Israel and any foreigners who live among them. All those who touch a dead human body will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. They must purify themselves on the third and seventh day with the water of purification, when they will be purified. But if they do not do this on the third and seventh day, they will continue to be unclean even after the seventh day. All those who touch a dead body and do not purify themselves in the proper way defile the Lord's tabernacle, and they will be cut off from the community of Israel. Since the water of purification was not sprinkled on them, their defilement continues. This is a ritual law that applies when someone dies inside a tent. All those who entered that tent and those who were inside when the death occurred will be unclean for 7 days, and any open container in the tent was not covered with a lid is also defiled. And as someone in an open field touches the corpse of someone that was killed with a sword or died natural death, or if someone touches a human bone or a grave, that person will be defiled for 7 days. To remove a defilement, need to defile some of the ashes from the burnt purification offering in a jar and pour fresh water over them. Then someone who is ceremonially clean must take a hyssop branch and dip it into the water. That the person must sprinkle the water on the tent, on all the furnishings in the tent, and on the people who were in the tent. Also, the people who touched a human bone, or touched someone who was killed or died naturally, or touched a grave on the third and seventh days. The person who is ceremonially clean must sprinkle the water on those who are defiled. Then on the seventh day, the people being cleansed must wash their clothes and bathe themselves, and that evening they will be cleansed of their defilement. But those who become defiled and do not purify themselves will be cut off from the community, for they have defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. Since the water of purification has not been sprinkled on them, they remain defiled. This is a permanent law from the people. Those who sprinkle the water of purification must afterwards wash their clothes, and anyone who then touches the water used for purification will remain defiled until evening. Anything and anyone that a defiled person touches will be ceremonially unclean until evening. In the first month of the year, The whole community of Israel arrived in the wilderness of Zin and camped at the Kadesh. While they were there, Miriam died and was buried. There was no water for the people to drink at that place, so they rebelled against Moses and Aaron. The people blamed Moses and said, "If only we had died in the Lord's presence with our brothers. Why have you brought the congregation of the Lord's people into the wilderness to die along with all our livestock? Why did you make us leave Egypt and bring us here to this terrible place? This land has no grain, no figs, no grapes, no pomegranates, and no water to drink." Moses and Aaron turned away from the people and went to the entrance of the tabernacle, where they fell face down on the ground. Then the glorious presence of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord said to Moses, "You and Aaron must take the staff and assemble the entire community. As the people watch, speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. You will provide enough water from the rock to satisfy the whole community and their livestock." So Moses did as he was told. He took the staff from the place where it had been before the Lord, kept before the Lord, and then he and Aaron summoned the people to come and gather at the rock. "Listen, you rebels, you dirty rebels," he shouted. "Must we bring you water from a rock?" Then Moses raised his hands and struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. So the entire community and their livestock drank their fill. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the land I am giving them." This place was known as the water of Meribah, which means arguing, because there the people of Israel argued with the Lord, and there he demonstrated his holiness among them. While Moses was at Kadesh, he sent ambassadors to the kingdom with the message. What? Back up here, people. Let's see. In order to take the staff assembly, the entire community as the people watch, speak to the rock over there, and it will pour out its water. They didn't speak to the rock. The rock, "Listen, you rebels," he shouted. "Must we bring you water from this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice. Oh man, a stickler. God is a stickler. The Lord said to Moses, "Aaron, because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the land I am giving them." Dang it. Alright. This is what your relatives, the people of Israel, say. That's why you gotta thank God for Jesus, people. This is what your relatives, the people of Israel, say. "You know all the hardships we have been through. Our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there a long time, and our ancestors were brutally mistreated by the Egyptians. But we cried out to the Lord. He heard us, and he sent an angel who brought us out of Egypt. Now we are camped at Kadesh, a town on the border of your land. Please let us travel through your land. We will be careful not to go through your fields and your vineyards. We won't even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's road and never leave it until we have passed through your territory." But the king of Edom said, "Stay out of my land, or I will meet you with an army." The Israelites answered, "We will stay on the main road. If our livestock drink your water, we will pay for it. Just let us pass through your country. That's all we ask." But the king of Edom replied, "Stay out. You may not pass through our land." With that, he mobilized his army and marched out against them in imposing force. Because Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their country, Israel was forced to turn around. The whole community of Israel left Kadesh and arrived at Mount Hor. there on the border of the land of Edom. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, the time has come for Aaron to join his ancestors in death. He will not enter the land I am giving the people of Israel, because the two of you rebelled against my instructions concerning the water at Meribah. Now take Aaron and his son Eleazar up Mount Hor. There you will remove Aaron's priestly garments and put them on Eleazar his son. Aaron will die there and join his ancestors. So Moses did as the Lord commanded. The three of them went up Mount Hor together as a whole community watched at the summit. Moses removed the priestly garments from Aaron and put them on Eleazar, Aaron's son. Then Aaron died there on top of the mountain, and Moses and Eleazar went back down. When the people realized that Aaron had died, all Israel mourned for him 30 days. It's because they hit the rock twice. God told them to go over and just talk to the rock. Could just talk to it and made it do it. Tell a mountain to move if you had the faith. Tell a rock to give water if you tell it right. That's the first read. One person died. Sad. Aaron died. It's a lot less than the day before. Alright, so Luke, second read. Oh, we're in Luke. Yay, no more Mark. Mark's done with God. God told him to go out and preach to everybody, and that was his story. Now, we're going to read Luke, and Luke is going to tell us the same story differently. Luke 1, 1 through 25. Thank God for Jesus. Many people have set out to write accounts about the events that have been fulfilled among us. They use the eyewitness reports circulating among us from the early disciples. Having carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I also have decided to write a careful account for you, most honorable Theophilus, so you can be certain of the truth of everything you were taught. So Luke knows everybody's being a bugger about these books they're writing, and so he says, you can be assured I am going to write the bestest book of the books. When Herod was king of Judah, there was a Jewish priest named Zachariah. He was a member of the priestly order of Abijah, and his wife Elizabeth was also from the priestly line of Aaron. Zachariah and Elizabeth were righteous in God's eyes, careful to obey all of the Lord's commandments and regulations. They had no children because Elizabeth was unable to conceive, and they were both very old. One day Zechariah was serving God in the temple, for his order was on duty that week. As was the custom of the priest, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and burn incense. While the incense was being burned, a crowd stood outside praying. While Zechariah was in the sanctuary, an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing to the right of the incense altar. Zechariah was shaken and overwhelmed with fear when he saw him. But the angel said, "Don't be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayer. Your wife Elizabeth will give you a son, and you are to name him John. You will have great joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. For this will be great in the eyes of the Lord. He must never touch wine or other alcoholic drinks. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before his birth, and he will turn many Israelites to the Lord their God. He will be a man with the spirit and power of Elijah. He will prepare the people for the coming of the Lord. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and he will cause those who are rebellious to accept the wisdom of the godly." Zechariah said to the angel, "How can I be sure this will happen? I'm an old man now, and my wife is also well along in years." Then the angel said, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the very presence of God. It was he who sent me to bring you this good news. But now, since you didn't believe what I said, You will be silent and unable to speak until the child is born, for my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time. Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah to come out of the sanctuary, wondering why he was taking so long. When he finally did come out, he couldn't speak to them. Then they realized from this gesture and his son's silence that he must have seen a vision in the sanctuary. When Zacharias' week of service in the temple was over, he returned home soon after. I'm telling you, people, man, what is wrong with these people? And I don't know, man. If an angel, if Gabriel the angel comes down and tells me something, I'm gonna listen. If God tells me to do something, procrastinated. I'm gonna listen, but I procrastinated. I just did, people. I'm sorry. I had a lot to learn. Temple was over. He returned home. Soon afterwards, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant. Surprise, surprise, and went into seclusion 5 months. How kind the Lord is, she exclaimed. He has taken away my disgrace of having no children. Well, there you go. Elizabeth understood. Right. Psalms 556, 1 through 13. God have mercy on me, for people are hounding me. My foes attack me all day long. I am constantly hounded by those who slander me, and many are boldly attacking me. But when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you. I praise God for what He has promised. I trust in God, so why should I be afraid? What can mere mortals do to me? Always twisting what I say, they spin their displot to harm me. They come together, spy me, watching my every step, eager to kill me. Don't let them get away with their wickedness, and your anger, O God, bring them down. You keep track of my sorrow. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. My enemies will retreat when I call to you for help. This I know, God is on my side. I pray God for what He has promised. Yes, I pray Lord for what He has promised. I trust in God, so why should I be afraid? What can mortals do to me? I will fulfill my vows to you, O God. I will. And will offer a sacrifice of thanks for your help. For you have rescued me from death over and over and over again. You have kept my feet from slipping. So now I can walk in your presence, O God, in your life-giving light. Proverbs 11:8. The godly are rescued from trouble, and it falls on the wicked instead. God bless y'all.